Gamer. The very word conjures up images of bleary-eyed teenagers mashing buttons on a game controller while they spit profanity into an unnecessarily expensive headset, or a middle-aged man with pizza skin huddled against the bright glow of a keyboard in the darkness of his parents' basement. Video games get a bad rap as violent, mind-numbing wastes of time that do little more than entertain those too lazy or too pathetic to brave the outside world. While I agree that moderation is an important skill with all things, quite simply, none of that is true. Video games are amazing. Children who play them have better hand-eye coordination overall when compared to their peers. For adults, they offer a chance to pause and refresh endorphins just the same as watching a show, going for a run, or reading a book. Video games can even help people recovering from serious brain injuries to retrain their bodies. When you break it down, there are 3 basic psychological needs that video games satisfy. In order to stay mentally fit, all humans need to feel some sense of achievement, we crave social interaction, and our lives are simply not complete until we're able to fully immerse ourselves in something. These 3 needs are exactly why Fortnite will die. Let me explain. One of the greatest parts of playing video games is unlocking achievements. Skits with those little boxes popping up over people's heads when they do something cool might seem funny in real life, but in a video game, it's all aboard the happy train for your brain. Leveling up feels good, and completing a quest docket can offer the same sense of order some people get from organizing their house. Let's face it, we're much more likely to stay invested and continue doing something if we feel like what we're doing is worthwhile. It's an important part of what makes people stick it out at their job or continue with a hobby. Fortnite, unfortunately, throws this principle completely out the window. Practicing so you can gain levels and hone your abilities means very little when most of the mechanics in the game are based on luck rather than skill. A good example of this is weapon bloom. Aside from a few close-range guns, the amount of damage you inflict on another player or object is calculated not by how well you can aim, how close you are, or even the other person's armor. It's random. That might be great for new players who haven't gotten things down, but it totally stinks for people who have invested time, money, and effort into mastering the game. Literal player experience tends to go something like this. Crouched perfectly still with a long-range assault rifle aimed dead center at someone in the distance, you're still likely to miss 4 shots out of 5. If you have aim assist turned on, you'll probably miss them all. Now that you've blown your cover, that person can turn around and drop you regardless of how much longer you've been playing because the randomly generated numbers for their gun beat yours. Infuriating doesn't begin to describe the stupidity of a gunfight where the accuracy of your aim is based on a random computer decision instead of your hard-earned skill. In a survival player versus player type game, it's not fun, and it's definitely not rewarding to have to hide from other players because you know the game won't let you win what should be a pretty straightforward fight. It's obvious that Bloom coupled with aim assist is a feature designed to attract and hook new players. The longer new players stay alive in the battleground, the more satisfied they'll be and the more likely it becomes that they'll buy stuff. I'm not denying that it makes sense from a business standpoint for EpicGames to keep them happy. It makes perfect sense. And don't get me wrong, getting new players interested is great, but not if that means taking away any chance of real improvement or accomplishment from the game. The fact that it literally doesn't matter how much work you put in is a slap to the face of many players who willingly spend their time playing, and it's just getting worse and worse. Just about the only skill gap between new and old players comes with building. In Fortnite, you collect stuff from your surroundings and use that to build walls, fences, and houses. The longer you've played, the better you get at it. Someone who's played a while is going to be able to make bigger and better things than someone who started yesterday. Now, EpicGames is smart enough to know that seasoned players make them plenty of money too. Completely eliminating the only thing you can truly improve yourself on in the game would mean pretty much an immediate death for Fortnite. But that hasn't stopped them from making building as difficult as possible. When your supply drops get you next to nothing just so someone who started playing this morning can feel as big and as bad as you, then that's a problem. Quite frankly, Epic is so afraid that new players will lose interest and quit that they're ruining the community of their own game. We humans are complex creatures with intricate social systems, and with most games, the senior players are the ones who have earned the right to respect. But at this point, the Fortnite community is so divided over what should and shouldn't happen in the game that what should be a happy discovering of a mutual love for this multi-platform experience has turned into a bristling standoff. What side are you on? What do you want? Do our wants match up? It's hard to feel like you're part of a social circle if you can already safely assume that most everyone in it hates you. To make matters worse, instead of putting their collective foot down and telling players what kind of game they're making, Epic follows the sway of the crowd. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and the game creators are constantly changing things based on player suggestions. Normally that would be an awesome thing, but there's a reason most game companies don't do that. Listening to the back and forth bickering of such a divided community has done nothing but widen the rift between players. Why stick around hacking away at something when you can't actually get better at it and the other people still hate you? At that point, sinking yourself into this kind of world is pretty much impossible. Humans like to lose themselves in a hobby. This miniature mental refresh time is especially important if you have a lot of stress in your life. But if you're too busy being mad because you just missed that shot for the 50 millionth time and now you're dead again, then you're definitely not immersed in the world. You're busy thinking about how much you hate it. Why would anyone continue to play a game that brought them such incredible frustration? Every game dies eventually. People move on and lose interest. We humans like shiny stuff, and even the most dedicated players get bored when they hit their skill cap. Epic knows that. They know their future lies in coddling new players to replace the old ones, but instead of offering an incentive to stay, they're spitting in the faces of their long-term players. If there's no way for you to get better at the game, no one can get along, and all the garbage you have to go through just to finish the level keeps taking away from your enjoyment playing in the first place, then there really is no point in you sticking around. There's no doubt about it. Fortnite will die. Whether it's today, tomorrow, or a year from now, this game just isn't set up to hold on to long-term players. Their bread and butter lies in attracting as many new gamers as possible, and things just keep getting more and more ridiculous with each new update patch. This downward trend and divided community can only be headed in one direction, and it certainly isn't up. Anywhere else your hard-earned experience would get you places. Guns would aim. People would wave across the street at a fellow gamer. But not Fortnite, because who really cares about the old timers? New people bring new money until they don't, and that is why Fortnite will die. If you enjoyed this video, then why not subscribe? Hit that bell icon as well so you're more likely to get notified of our noble answers to your burning questions. Also, if you have any questions you want answered, make sure to tell me in the comments section down below. And to keep filling your brain with regal knowledge, check out these videos here. They're magnificent.